Okay, now.
Good evening. I'd like to call this special call meeting to order. This is a virtual meeting. Welcome to everyone on YouTube who are listening and to our board members and our central office staff. Mary, would you please do the roll call vote to determine if we have a quorum?
Mrs. Haynes.
Present.
Mr. Weatherman.
Present.
Mr. Chenault.
Present.
Mr. Anders.
Present.
Mr. Sage.
Present.
All right. Mr. Woodman, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence?
Please join me in a moment of silence. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic
for
which
which it
stands, one
stands,
nation, under
one
God,
nation, under
indivisible,
God,
with liberty and justice for all.
justice for all. Thank you. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda for this evening.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, Mary, roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Haynes.
Yes.
Mr. Weatherman.
Yes.
Mr. Chenault.
Yes.
Mr. Anders.
Yes.
Mr. Sage.
Yes.
All right. Mrs. Linker, the agenda is approved. Mrs. Linker, proposed policy revisions and deletion.
Yes, ma'am. This is a continuation of some more policies that were revised and handed to us from the Virginia School Board Association. The student conduct policy appears as though there are significant changes, but they really are minor because they have taken a lot of the verbiage that was over in the regulation, JFCR. That regulation is being deleted, and they've really just collapsed both the policy and the regulation and put most of that information there. So there really aren't any major changes there. And all of the others are just minor updates, just based on small edits that the attorneys have made from other policies or legislative changes.
All righty, thank you. Also, Mrs. Linker, I believe you have personnel in front of you.
Yes, ma'am. I would ask that the board review the agenda that has been provided to you, that's been presented for appointments, reappointments, and also resignation as presented and recommended by the superintendent.
Is there a motion to approve the personnel?
I make a motion to approve personnel as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Haynes.
Yes.
Mr. Weatherman.
Yes.
Mr. Chenault.
Yes.
Mr. Anders.
Yes.
Mr. Sage.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously 5-0. Thank you, Mrs. Linker.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Wilmore, approval of the 2021 amended 2021 school budget.
Yes, ma'am. This budget will, just so the board knows, the county has taken 5% of the money that they give us for a contingency for Corona, apparently is what they're calling it. And I'm not sure if they're going to give us that back now, because I talked to the county administrator the other day and he said that they're getting ready to, they qualify for 1.4 million in stimulus money. So I'm hoping this will go back into this. So if you're looking at this number I'm about to give you, which is $22,787,961.91, that does not include, or that does include 67,000, which of course will be omitted till the last quarter of next year. Then that's when they're supposed to give it back to us, apparently, if they don't give it back to us sooner. But we did reach some more milestones with this budget. We were able to do what we needed to do with our support staff. We were able to give our people a step And there's a lot of divisions right now that I don't think are going to give a step or a raise or anything else.
Right.
And some are very strapped, and we've done pretty well with our funding. And I compliment Michelle. I compliment all of our employees and our administrative team. And I think this is the 5 years we've done this budget. Kudos to Michelle. I think this is the best budget I think we've had.
Yeah,
All things considering, especially with all what we've got beating on our door right now. So we're going to be tight next year. I'm going to make sure we're tight because I'm worried about revenue coming in next year, but I feel pretty good about this year right now. And as you all know, we've got, we've got 2 grants sitting out there right now that we're hoping we're going to get, that Ms. Funk did for after school, and that would help our cause also. But right now, with what we've got and what we need to do, I feel pretty good about everything, all things considered.
So do you have a recommendation?
I do. I would recommend that the school board approve the amended budget for 2021 in the amount of $22,787,961.91.
All right. Is there a motion to approve this amended budget?
I make a motion to approve the budget.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I got a couple questions. Since we don't have a superintendent's report, is Zach Hill 12-month contract in this budget?
Yes, he is.
Okay, thank you. One more question. What about coaches supplement for spring sports?
You're talking about last year, this season going on right now, Fred?
Yes, sir.
We gave them 50% of their stipend.
50%?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I've been asked that question, so that answered my question. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I have a question about the 5% that the county's withholding.
Mm-hmm.
When we listened to the meeting, they talked about holding that back for, they wanted to put a board together or a panel together, 2 board members from our board, 2 from them.
Right.
Business leaders. Now, what I heard them say, and that could have changed by now, I haven't talked to any of them. They wanted to hold that back to implement cost to, at the big word they kept throwing around was sustainability, to make education sustainable.
Right.
So that was my impression, was that 5% was going to be earmarked for that project, that panel, and any costs that might be incurred. But has that changed, that they may give that back to us?
Yeah, my understanding is that's being held because they're worried about contingency for Corona, and we're not doing another study. And I've talked to 2 of their board members, and they agree with me. We are not going to pay another dime for another study. Not going to happen. And I let them know my displeasure of one of their board members making a comment that they were going to hold that money over our head to do another study. And I got bad news for them. That's not going to happen. I get the sustainability. I can argue all day with them, Chris, because the one that's saying this, I haven't seen, I'm not going to get into throwing stones at them right now. I'll do it to their face. But the sustainability needs to be coming on their end, and we need to be getting some things done here in this county. And I know we're trying, and I know we're getting a few places, but the last business that I know that came in here outside the town was over here on was the kayak place, and that was 2015 December, and that was before Jonathan Sweet left. So I think we've got some opportunities knocking on the door here if the county will seize them, and I don't see any reason why they don't want to. But we're not doing another. Sustainability is, to me, is they need to go get some businesses and they need to get some industry. And I'll give the town manager credit. He's bought 3 businesses in here in less than a year. So I don't want to hear the excuses that we need health care. I don't want to hear the excuses that we need internet. We got those things. Sparta doesn't have those things. Why do they have all those businesses? But, I'm not doing another study. We've done one study. I give them credit. Mr. Fant has stepped up saying that we need to do a loan to get those things fixed. And I credit him for that. But my understanding was this was contingency money with all their departments putting in 5%. And there was a huge mix up on that because I never told them yes or no. I just asked them to do less. And I'm not sure where it came from, but we need to, we're not doing another study. I will repeat that. I'm not about to do another. We've got a study and it's good and it shows what we need to fix and the order we need to fix it. So if they give us our money back, great, but I should have to go beg for it. I don't even know why it's not going to be given back to us immediately because of their being able to get this stimulus money that's 1.4 million. I hope that answered your question. I didn't mean to ramble, Chris.
No, I agree that they wanted to talk about sustainability, but it seemed like all they wanted to talk about was cutting and holding things back. And
Yeah.
Sustainability is a two-headed coin. There's opportunities, increased revenues, and increase to help that sustainability on the other side. And I just hope they're considering that as well because. But I just wondered about the 5%.
Well, it's just one member, and that's the one in your district, in Rick's district, in the Wilson district, that's wanting to come up with ideas about sustainability. And I get it, but I don't think he understands that we rob Peter to pay Paul more than anybody I know, and we pinch every dime we can to make a quarter out of it. So this is the same individual that said that we could change our budget around and give everybody a whole lot more money, and I don't think he gets it. There's all three of those pots are always tied together, and I appreciate his vigorousness, but he doesn't get how the game's played. And I'd love to explain it to him if he'd listen.
Any other discussion?
The last question I had is I was looking over the budgets, and I know we pay a stipend for elementary school principals that do not have an assistant principal. How many elementary school principals do we have that have an assistant or do not have an assistant?
I don't think any of them have a assistant.
Zero, none.
So they all are getting a stipend for not having an assistant. Okay.
We pay the stipend if they don't have an assistant over a certain number of students, and one does get it.
Yeah.
That, what school was that?
Independence Elementary.
They're the only one that gets it?
Yeah, I think it's any school that has elementary school that has students over 250, I think it is, gets that stipend, and she's at that school.
What about the schools that go K through 7 and have over 250?
Well, they don't have necessarily over 250, but they do get a stipend for being K7 as well. So those two get it for that reason, and then she gets it for the higher ADM.
Okay. Thank you.
These are good questions. Any more questions? We ready to vote? All right, Mary, roll call, please.
Mrs. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Weatherman,
Yes.
Mr. Chenault,
Yes.
Mr. Anders,
Yes.
Mr. Sage,
All right, the amended 2021 school budget is approved unanimously.
Is
Ms.
this the
Castle,
last time? Is this the last time?
yes,
No.
this is it.
Okay.
Ms. Castle, approval of 2021 salary scales.
Yes, we have provided you all with the proposed salary scales for next year. It's what I built my budget around that you all just approved. And then I think an additional one was sent out to you today with the substitute rates. But it is the recommendation of the superintendent that the board approve the salary scales for the 2020 to 2021 school year as submitted.
Is there a motion to approve the 2021 salary scales?
I so moved to approve the scale as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
That begin as of August 1st.
Yeah, for the 10-month employees, they'll earn that as of August 1st, and 12-month people will earn this as of July 1st.
Okay.
Other questions? Roll call vote, Mary?
Mrs. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Weatherman,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chenault,
Yes.
Mr. Anders,
Yes.
Mr. Sage,
Salary scales for 2021 are approved unanimously, 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Castle, for all your hard work. We appreciate you.
Thank you all.
Mrs. Funk, approval of the reading textbook adoption.
Yes, board members, the Reading Textbook Adoption Committee recommends the publisher McGraw-Hill Reading for grades 9 through 12 for English. And this will be for the period of 2020 through 2027. So it is the recommendation to the board to approve this adoption.
Is there a motion to approve the reading textbook adoption?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Is there a second? All right, roll call, Mary.
Mrs. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Weatherman,
Yes.
Mr. Chenault,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mr. Sage,
All righty, the reading textbook adoption passes unanimously 5-0. Having no other information, no other agenda items on the agenda, I announce this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all and have a good evening and stay, get your umbrellas out and stay home and stay safe.
Thanks, you too.
See ya.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.